Breaking news on CBS Sports HQ. Mohamed Sanu was traded to the Patriots earlier today, and now Emmanuel Sanders is going to the 49ers. Sanders and a 5th-round pick to San Francisco. The Broncos get a 3rd and a 4th-round pick in return. Our Jason La Canfora has confirmed that. JLC said earlier in the day he expected this to happen. So these are the details. Sanders and a 2020 5th-rounder for a 3rd and a 4th-rounder in next year's draft. We got Jamey Eisenberg and Pete Prisco to break this down for us. You have the Patriots, an undefeated team, going all in with Mohamed Sanu, and the 49ers doing the same at 6-0.
Well, they had to. They had to do something. The receiver situation is not good, and they haven't moved the football offensively. The passing game has been struggling. Jimmy Garoppolo struggled. You know, we lose sight of that with the way the defense has been playing, but their offense has not been good. They needed to get something. This is a little rich for my blood. You swap a 3rd and a 4th for a 5th and Emmanuel Sanders. He's not a fast guy, and this is a team that needs to get somebody down the field. So it's a little concerning to me, but I understand it because they're in a desperate situation, and they think they can go for the Super Bowl.
These feel more like fantasy drafts than they do real-life drafts because, I mean, it improves the receiving core clearly because the group has been so bad, and you have Deebo Samuel banged up, Marquise Goodwin dealing with a concussion, so you wonder how healthy the group is as a whole. But I agree with Pete. I don't know if this makes them that much better. First off, they got to get healthy on the line. They got to get Kyle Juszczyk back. You know, he's kind of the lifeblood of what this running game is. But this helps them. I just don't know if it puts them over the top to be one of the better one of the best teams. And they're clearly one of the better teams, but one of the best teams in the NFC because you're looking at it offensively, they're worse than the Packers. They're worse than the Cowboys. They're probably still worse than the Eagles, you know, even as bad as Philadelphia has been struggling. And so I don't know if this all of a sudden makes them that much better given the compensation they have to give up.
The good news is he knows the offense. It's the same offense because, you know, the offensive coordinator came over from San Francisco. He will step right on in and play. So that's the good news. But again, why not give up a 1 or a 2 for A.J. Green? That sets you over the top.
Is he available, though?
Well, they keep saying he's not, but if you could pry him, I mean, they pry Jimmy Garoppolo away from the Patriots. They are very determined to get things done. So I would have done everything I could to get A.J. Green. That sends the offense in a special direction. This does not.
So who's next? Seattle? Is that the...
You would think the way their receivers are looking, they need to get some help for Tyler Lockett.
Trade deadline is a week away. What's the fantasy aspect of this, Jamey?
Yeah, I mean, it improves him, you know, slightly, you know, because he was sort of the one. He was the 1A to start the season for the Broncos. Courtland Sutton clearly has passed him, and so now he goes to receiving core where Dante Pettis, he's better. Marquise Goodwin, when healthy, he's better. You know, so Deebo Samuel, he's clearly better. So he's going to be their number 1 guy. But this is still the offense is going to funnel through George Kittle. It's still going to be a run-first system. And how good is he really? Because I still don't think he's all the way back from that Achilles injury. You know, we've seen him already battle a knee problem. So I think he's no better than a number 3 receiver. He's better than Mohamed Sanu, just because less mouths to feed in this offense than there are there. But this doesn't necessarily all of a sudden vault Jimmy Garoppolo into the top tier of fantasy quarterbacks because he's been struggling, and I don't think Sanders is the type of receiver that puts him over the top.
When I was in Denver in the summer, their players on defense were telling me, look, it's going to be pretty easy to defend our offense. We don't have any speed. Nobody scares anybody. He doesn't scare anybody. Now, they do have Goodwin if he's on the field. He can fly, and this might help open him up if he can get healthy and play on the field. But this is not a great move for the 49ers. I think it's a desperation.
I'm going to give you the fantasy winner from this, and that's Deshaun Hamilton. Because what we saw last year, I agree with Pete, he's not a fast guy, but what we saw last year, the 4 games that Emmanuel Sanders missed with the Achilles injury, Hamilton's numbers popped.
Yep.
He averaged 13.3 PPR points in the final 4 games of the season, 3 of them over 13 points per game. And so he now becomes the de facto number 2 guy. Maybe this helps Noah Fant also, you know, a guy that they have to start to develop at the tight end position. But Courtland Sutton locked in as the number 1 guy. Hamilton now becomes the number 2. 6% ownership on CBS Sports leagues. Waiver Wire Tuesday, go pick him up because he could be really good.
The other question here is this the first of the Denver Broncos to be sent packing in a transition saying, hey, we're going to start playing for the future? Maybe Chris Harris, he's an unrestricted free agent after the season. There's been talk about Von Miller. I doubt they do it, but there's been talk about that. So maybe they start making more moves, and this is just the first one.
Harris is a likely one. You know.
It makes sense.
Von Miller probably not so much because you can still build around him defensively. But yeah, Chris Harris, it's time to go.
Texans should have traded for Chris Harris.
They're trading for everybody else.
Yeah, they should have traded. He's a hometown kid. He would have loved to go there.
For the 49ers, they have the Carolina Panthers up next, who are unbeaten with Kyle Allen under center. When you look at the schedule, then they have to go to Arizona, a team that's won 3 straight, then Seattle, Arizona, Green Bay at home. Where do you see the first loss coming for San Francisco?
Sunday.
Really?
I think Carolina goes in there and beats up that banged-up offensive line. I think they're going to get all over Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to turn the ball over. I think Carolina beats him this week.
I can see the same thing. I mean, look, the best player on the field is on Carolina's side. Christian McCaffrey's been doing great things, so he's going to challenge that defense and make things uncomfortable for them. Kyle Allen's been very good, taking over for Cam Newton. I'm sure this is a prove-it game for him, knowing that Cam Newton's coming back. Offensive line should be relatively healthy, given what the state of that it has been for the Panthers. And, yeah, that pass rush has been fantastic, getting after opposing quarterbacks. You saw what they did to Jameis Winston in London. They're probably going to make things uncomfortable for Garoppolo also. This does not change things for Garoppolo, again, from a dramatic standpoint to help him become that much better.
Who's the favorite in the NFC right now? You got the Packers with just one loss. Cowboys have shown some flashes. Seahawks took a big step back this past weekend. Is it the Niners, the only unbeaten team in this side?
It's the Packers, and I don't think there's any question about it. Rodgers is just now feeling his way in the offense. We saw what he can do. Defensively, they can rush the passer. If you can throw it and rush the passer in this league, you're going to stay in a lot of games. They have a good pass rush. They have Aaron Rodgers, and they haven't had Devontae Adams. That's scary.
I think the one thing that we still have to see from the Packers, they've started to do a better job of it, is stop the run.
Yeah.
You can stop the run and then put those opposing quarterbacks in third and long situations. Preston Smith, Darius Smith, those guys are going to get after the quarterback, like you said. They got to figure out, though, is it Aaron Jones, and stop messing around with it. Let him be the guy, because then that establishes your run game. Let Jamal Williams fill in as the backup there, helping out Aaron Jones. But yeah, when Devontae Adams comes back, after what Aaron Rodgers just looked like, the offensive line starting to play better, they're easily the favorite in the NFC.
And think about this too, Chris. In the past 2 weeks, they won at Dallas running the ball. They won against the Raiders throwing the ball. They can do so many different things.
And we talked about, until this week, the great record that they had, despite Aaron Rodgers not really having a breakout game. He finally had that game. Maybe he keeps that going. Now, the two undefeated teams in the National Football League both make moves at the wide receiver position today. I get the sense that you both kind of feel the same way about both of the moves. They needed speed. They didn't necessarily get that. They have great defenses, but the offenses aren't that improved. If you were to pick one that improved itself more, is it the Niners or the Patriots today?
It's the Patriots. I don't think there's any question about that. Not that Sanu's a better player. I just think he fits what they do a little bit better. He will operate in the middle of the field. He's a smart guy. He knows how to sit down in zones. That's what they want from their guys. I think he's perfect for them.
I'm going to agree with you on that standpoint, but in terms of Chris's question, I think it was the Niners, because their receiving core was so bad. This is a luxury for the Patriots. So Sanu enhances them. But Sanders was a big need for the 49ers.
But I don't know how much better he makes them.
He makes this receiving core better, because
they're better, but I don't know how much better.
We don't know how long Deebo Samuel's going to be out. We don't know how long Marquise Goodwin's going to be out. If you're talking about Dante Pettis and Kendrick Bourne trying to support Jimmy Garoppolo with bad tackles, they needed this in a big, big way. Is he the right guy? We'll find out. But they needed somebody to come in there and help things.
But I think
in terms of who helped themselves the most, I think it's the 49ers getting somebody who can, like you said, know the offense, come in and play right away.
Okay, let's take one more look at what just transpired. As confirmed by our Jason Lockenfora, the San Francisco 49ers get Emmanuel Sanders and a 5th rounder. The Broncos get a 3rd and a 4th in return.